The higher that your standards are, the lonelier you are going to be. Yes, if you lower your standards, you can probably go out tomorrow and get a boyfriend. But if your standards are high, it's going to take more time and more discernment to find people. You're going to go on less dates. It's quantity versus quality. But while you're no longer being traumatized by the lower dregs of society, you're having time, you should be spending that time investing in yourself. So stop wasting time just to waste time. Keep your standards high. And in those parts where you're not dating, where you're feeling lonely, just keep investing that energy back into yourself, back into your hobbies, back into your friendships, and into any side hustles or things that you want to do.
He ended things with you, but he still reaches out sometimes. It's because he wants to see if he still has access to you. And by you replying, you're telling him, yeah, you can come in and out as you please, mister. So I suggest stop replying.
I'm not busy all the time. I'm just not available all the time. And those are two very different things.
The one thing that my late 20s has shown me more than anything is that your life is truly a reflection of what you tolerate. The relationship that you choose to stay in, the people that you keep around, the job that you won't leave, and even the city that you live in. You may not understand it now, but these are your standards, and if you keep them low, your life will reflect it. Protect them at all costs. They're shaping your future whether you like it or not.
There's something nobody warns you about when you finally start respecting yourself. It gets quieter. Not lonely, just quieter.
If you have high standards, guard them, especially when they're reasonable. That's a sign you know your worth, and that tends to bug those who can't or won't meet them. See, those who can't afford the price of admission will always try and make you feel like you're charging too much. Be careful with that, because standards aren't suddenly lost. They're chipped away over time. Next thing you know, you find yourself working to earn something that didn't even meet your standards in the first place. This is how those standards get covertly lowered, through little slights that turn into subtle insults and eventually blatant disrespect. This behavior isn't just unacceptable. It's an attempt to minimize and cheapen everything about you. And it's a clear sign that that person can't afford you, your presence, your connection, friendship, or companionship. And that's okay. But it does mean taking a moment to reflect and ask, how long am I going to keep giving away the most valuable thing I have? Boundary up. I hope this helps.
If he liked you, you would know it. If he wanted to be with you, you would feel it. Am I saying things are going to always work out even if you felt these things? No, because it's dating, things can go sideways, or maybe it's not meant to be. But there's a certain standard of man that you want to be dealing with, and it's somebody who's prioritizing you, communicating with you, setting up dates, and you're feeling a caring energy from the person. At the very least, we want to be dealing with good people, okay? So if those very basic things aren't being felt by you, then this person isn't even someone who should even consider, okay? This is someone who is clearly then just wasting your time, and it's not worth continuing to see through. Every dating experience is a lesson, and there's lessons to learn in the good and the bad, but if you're an adult, you've gone through enough dating experiences to now be able to kind of have an idea of the people who we should let go very quickly, okay? And that's part of learning and growing, is being able to make those decisions faster and faster, to send out to the universe, to God, that I don't want these types of people anymore. I want to welcome in the right types of people. So when you keep making that active choice and doing that, you're going to see the quality of the people that come into your life be tremendously better. And when the people and the quality are better, you're more likely to find your person.
Because when you raise your standards, a lot of people lose access to you. Not because you hate them, not because you're bitter, but because they can no longer afford the emotional rent. And suddenly, the man who used to text you every day now texts you once every 3 weeks with, "Hey, how you been?" Oh, now.
Something that I realized from my divorce journey was that when I got divorced, everyone called me demanding, right? Everyone thought I was the one who was asking for too much. And it would seem that way because he was not able to fulfill it. And then once I started dating my current boyfriend, Jay, and he's able to fulfill every single demand I have, And every single requirement I have, everyone's like, oh, you're not demanding at all. You're actually very justifiable. The same people that called me bossy, needy, dependent, blah, 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 whatever else. Those are the same people saying to me, Shazmira, oh my gosh, no, you're not demanding at all. You're not bossy at all. Why? Because whatever I'm sending out is being received and being completed. So it is not you. It's the person that you're asking for. So everything that I used to ask for is no longer considered crazy and out of this world for people. It's like, oh my God, this is so natural. It's such a matter-of-fact way. When my standards were the same in both situations. So, food for thought.
I want you to remember one thing. That access to you is a gift. It's a privilege. It's not an entitlement. It's not a given. It's an absolute gift. Because when you work as hard as you have to transcend, to elevate, to vibrate at a higher frequency, people have not built the stamina, the endurance to be able to hold the weight that you have in all the responsibility that you've gained because you put in the reps and because you put in the work. So when you're around people who are low vibrational, who haven't done the work, who maybe are unwilling to do the work, access becomes extremely difficult to maintain because you're both speaking two different languages. People who are with you shooting in the gym, people that have seen your struggle, that have seen your effort, have seen your dedication, your discipline, your vulnerability, your willingness, all the things, the compromises with yourself, with source, with every part that got you to where you are now. People who have seen that absolutely and stuck by you absolutely get access to you because they have rooted you on, they have supported you, they've had amazing conversations behind your back, they've protected your names in rooms that you don't even realize was preying on your downfall. Those are the people that are entitled to access to you. However, the majority of people, if not most people, they don't understand the weight of the gift, how luxurious and how high maintenance and how costly it is to have access to you. So definitely protect that part of you, your energy, your time, your beautiful mind, your heart, your spirit, your body. Not everybody gets access.
Oh, you remember me. Interesting. See, when a man keeps popping in and out of your life, he's not confused. He's checking availability. He's making sure his old access code still works. He's not trying to rebuild the relationship. He's trying to keep the door cracked open, just enough so he never fully loses you. Because access without responsibility is the ultimate convenience. And here's the part that changes everything when you realize it. The right man isn't afraid of your standards. He prepares for them.
Look, your standards are deciding your life, not your intentions, not your potential, your standards. What you tolerate, what you excuse, what you keep allowing around you. That's what's shaping your peace, your relationships, and your future. A lot of people say they want love, but their standards invite chaos. They say they want success, but their standards allow inconsistency. They say they want peace, but their standards entertain stress, and then they wonder why nothing changes. Standards are quiet. They don't announce themselves. They show up in daily choices. Who you give access to, what you say yes to, what you walk away from even when it's hard. Real masculinity is having standards and enforcing them, not controlling people, controlling yourself. And real femininity is honoring your worth enough to not lower your standards for attention or comfort. Healthy relationships don't come from chemistry alone. They come from two people with aligned standards. Peace does not come from avoiding problems. It comes from refusing to tolerate what costs you your self-respect. The higher your standards, the calmer your life becomes. Because when you respect yourself enough, your life starts reflecting that respect. So if something disturbing your peace, ask yourself this: why am I allowing it? Your life will not rise above the standards that you live by.
You got to have the highest of standards when it comes to dealing with men. That means you will not date or show interest or even be flattered by any man that's not reaching them standards first and foremost. That means you're going to have to be real clear. I don't date people unless they fully provide. I don't date people unless they already have this much money. You're going to have to literally be like that in order to get what you're looking for. You got to be like, no, this is what I want. And if I can't have it, don't bother me. Don't talk to me. And then that's how you become the prize, because people want what they cannot have. People want what is unreachable. Goals. Okay, so then your value goes up to someone your own age who is looking for the same thing. You'll have to be looking for the same thing. Not everybody is looking for the same thing at the same time. Lover girls need to be only dealing with lover guys. That means guys that are looking for love, guys that are looking for the same thing, because a lot of times these men aren't looking for what you're looking for. That's why your standards have to stay high. You can't bend them until someone else says, okay, well, I'm looking for the exact same thing.
Disclaimer. Following this advice may result to get rid of a dusty and leave the sprinkle life.
I majored in neuroscience in college because I was really interested in the brain, and I learned that every time that you tolerate something that goes against your values, whether it be procrastination, poor sleep, bad habits, people who drain you, your brain learns that it's normal. The dopamine system that governs motivation and reward doesn't distinguish between what's good for you and what's easy. It just reinforces whatever behavior that you repeat. That's called reward prediction, and when you meet your own standards, when you follow through, when you set boundaries, when you stay consistent, your brain releases dopamine, rewarding that alignment. When you break those standards, your brain lowers the threshold for what it considers to be good enough. Over time, you stop expecting more from yourself because your brain has adjusted to the comfort of compromise. Neurons adapt to repetition, not intention. So every time that you settle, every time that you let something slide that you said that you wouldn't, you're literally teaching your brain to accept less. And every time that you hold the line, even when it's inconvenient, especially when it's inconvenient, you teach it that your word matters. Your self-respect lives in the delta between what you say and what you do. So if your standards are low, your energy is going to match them. But if your standards are high, your brain learns to rise. The mind craves consistency. So if you want your actions to align with your identity, and if you want to feel more confident, raise the bar. Raise the standards your brain uses to define who you are and prove them through your behavior. Your standards don't just shape your life, they program your brain to believe you're someone worth listening to.
There are men right now, this very second, working long hours, building careers, stacking money, creating stability. Not because someone forced them, but because they're building a life they're proud of, a life they want to share. They're not asking, what can I get away with? They're asking, what kind of man do I need to become? They want the house, the peace, the partner, the companionship. They want someone to come into their life and add warmth to everything they built. They're not intimidated by providing, they take pride in it. Because providing isn't just about money, it's about readiness.
It is super important to have standards and self-respect, right? But I saw a creator talking on here about how people can talk about that as if that's easy for everyone. And for some of us, it is not. And if we are that person, when people start being like, oh my God, have you got no self-respect? Or, oh my God, I wouldn't take that. Or, oh my God, how can you put up with this? It's really hard. And we just go, oh, there's something really wrong with me. And it makes us feel even worse about ourselves. So let's take the judgment out and just look at this. Because having standards isn't easy for some of us. It also means if you have standards, you are pricing yourself out of certain situations because you will not tolerate them anymore. And for some of us, we learn love is scarce, so we don't have that luxury. For some of us, we learned we weren't good enough, so we had to take whatever was given. For some of us, we learned that actually we had to beg for the bare minimum. For some of us, we were conditioned by the way we grew up to tolerate so much less, to put up with pain, to not have those standards. For some of us, having any kind of my needs matter in this, what do I actually want? What are my standards? That was actually dangerous growing up. We weren't allowed to have that. So how are we going to magically just have that when we grow up? And how also are we supposed to have crucial elements of things like self-respect, self-trust, self-like, self-love, if that was never taught to us or modeled to us? Like, it is important, but people who have it don't sometimes realize what it is for those of us who do not. And like, I do now, so like I know both sides of this infinitely better when you do.
quite hard to get from, no, I don't have standards, I don't even realize it, I want to have standards, I don't know what that fully means, I want to have boundaries, I can't enforce them, I don't like myself even though I want to. Like, to get from that place to the place where you have standards, you have boundaries, you want what's best for you, you will respect yourself, you will trust yourself, you will stand up for yourself. Like, it's hard to go from one to the other, because it's something that we have actively been conditioned against for some of us, and stuff that we have never been taught. And like I said, stuff that maybe in the past we weren't allowed to have in our homes. It was not safe to have those. We learned to self-abandon because that was our best option, survival-wise. And like, if that's the case, please don't judge yourself, but realize that this is something that is going to be important if you want a happy life, a healthy life, healthy relationships. It's also something you might have to learn, consciously learn. And like, I help people do this because I think I know how hard it is, and because I know that actually it's not as simple as like, get standards, love yourself. Like, I know that it's not that simple. That's why I like made the workbook that's at the place where my stuff lives, that will be really helpful for anyone who wants to do this, because it starts from a place of like, let's talk about the resistance, let's talk about the why, let's actually unpack this and do it so it's manageable, clear, tangible, so you can actually do it instead of just going, okay, cool, I'll just get standards then, I guess, and love myself. Like, you can also work with me, but even if you don't, like, it's okay to go, okay, this is something I'm gonna have to learn. It might be uncomfortable, it might involve me feeling things I'm not used to feeling, it's going to be unfamiliar, and that's okay. I get to have support as I do it, but it's also just, it's okay. I don't have to judge myself because actually I don't have this stuff that everybody talks about.
It's about being able to say, I've built something solid, you're safe here. Meanwhile, the wrong man will try to convince you that your standards are the problem. He'll say you're asking for too much. He'll say you're unrealistic. He'll say you're difficult. But watch how fast you become easy to love when you're with someone who actually meets your standards. Suddenly, you're not too much. You're just finally with someone who's enough. See, men rise to the level of what they truly want. If a man really values you, he won't negotiate your worth down. He'll level himself up.
The men are going to be out here working hard so that they can get you. Don't you see? There a lot of men are perfectly willing to build their life up in such a way where they establish their career, job, whatever, make money, have a house, and then they want a woman to move in with them. You see? There's a lot of men that will happily say, yes, ma'am, come live with me. I want a companion in my life. And two can live for the price of one, so I can afford that reality for us both. All right? And that's a good deal. All right? They're going to work hard anyways. And if they all unite and stop dating guys that require you to pay for half the bills, the men will just make a little more money to cover you too. Don't you see that? They're going to want you anyways. They want you when they're poor. They want you when you're rich. When they're rich, they always want you. So if you just set your price high and say, to get a woman at all, it's going to cost you, then they're going to have to rise to the occasion. Don't you see that? It's you weak ones that are letting the broke ones through. Y'all sleeping with broke dudes. And then you're setting the standards for those guys. And then also for yourself. You ever think about that? Maybe you should just date the ones that have money. I haven't heard one good argument ever that women shouldn't be gold diggers. Straight up. Why would you? And the thing is, that makes a lot of men mad when I say that. Some women are like trying to find something to be mad about me for, whatever. I don't know. But men especially, but some women too. And the reality is like, why would any woman want to date a man that doesn't have anything to provide for them? You see? For what? If they can't even do the things that it takes as a man to improve their life in such a way that they can provide for themselves, for a family, why would any woman want that? Ever. For his emotional support? Ha! A man is not going to have the facilities to emotionally support you. And even if he did, you're going to hate that man for not helping you make ends meet. Don't you get it? And why men are mad at me for saying that is stupid. And then women that are trying to find something to be mad at me for saying something like that is also stupid. You see what I'm saying? Just be smart for yourself and have a life for yourself by dating a man who can give you stuff. And I mean in a way that makes your life easier. Straight up. Don't date the losers. And if they're mad about that, then they're going to have to improve the quality of their life. And then they can get women. Ta-da! That's how you get out of the general chat, folks. Y'all want my advice as men? You want to get out of the general chat? You want to get out of the requests? Make money. Whew. Like magic. Well, then people start replying to you. What a concept.
I'm going to share with you girlies how to raise your standards in the way that I did, and I know it works because I went from dating 50-50 dusties to getting princess treatment. First of all, you should never ever pretend that you have high standards. This is the biggest mistake I see a lot of girls make, that I made myself, and it's because you think that girls who get princess treatment or they have high standards act a certain way, and you try to copy and imitate them, but you can't, because it's a mindset. The only way you can raise your standards is by working on yourself internally, and here's how. Number one, you work on loving yourself so much that anyone who doesn't demonstrate comparable love, care, consistency, you reject. Number two, train your eyes and ears to observe and listen correctly and develop your emotional discipline. No falling in love with your heart, you fall in love with your mind. When he shows you who he is, believe him and stop making excuses for him. Number three, learn to choose what's best for you, even when you don't want to. This is incredibly hard because your love for yourself has to surpass any feelings or emotions that you develop for another person, and that requires so much self-control and self-respect. When you're able to do these three things and you know exactly how you should be treated, that's how you raise your standards.
And when you actually have standards for yourself, expect people to be very offended by that. And oftentimes this reveals how they were thinking about you the whole time. A lot of people see you, and depending on how you present, they expect you to think lowly of yourself. They expect you to accept anything, and they will be offended when they can't do that by you because who you are is different than how they perceived you. They take who you are as you trying to argue with them, and you disqualifying their misplaced judgments as you basically quantifying their intellect as small, which maybe it is if they're reacting in such a way to being wrong. And so every expression that you are having of being different from how they perceived you and being in that lowly place is now taken as a personal attack against them. Your standards are now weapons of war, and they're now inspiration for a smear campaign that will likely be spread about you because you have standards. So believe me when I say,
communicate clearly. He'll make plans. He'll show consistency. You won't be guessing. You won't be confused. You won't be analyzing screenshots with your friends like you're solving a crime. You'll feel calm because effort has a certain energy. You don't have to beg for it. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to decode it. It shows up. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Every time you accept less, you teach people that less is enough for you. You don't do it intentionally. You do it because you care, because you see potential, because you hope things will improve. But your life doesn't change based on potential. It changes based on standards. Standards are not about controlling other people. They're about controlling access to you. Not everyone deserves your time. Not everyone deserves your softness. Not everyone deserves the privilege of being close to you. And the moment you truly understand that, everything shifts. Because now you're not